Welcome to Season 4 of Grieving Common. You're listening to different voices from the Winston Swish youth team.
We're a group of grieving young people who are helping to shape the future of grief support.
We're all different, but we've all got grief in common. If you are aged 13 or over, this podcast is suitable for you.
Winston Swish is a charity that supports children and young people who are bereaved or facing the death of someone important to them. And this podcast is our space to talk honestly about what that feels like.
We'll be sharing our ideas, experiences and conversations that we hope will help you feel less alone. If you'd like to help us keep this going, you can donate at winstonswish.org. Thank you.
In this episode of Grief in Common, we mention grief and death throughout.
I talk to my dad every single day. And if my mum were alive, I would talk to her every day. So the way I see it is the way I deal with grief every day is very similar to that in a way. And that doesn't mean, I spend an hour a day lamenting everything in whatever way it needs to happen. But I kind of, it's a continual experience and it's not denying it to yourself. It's saying, I do exist with this thing.
In the whirlwind that is grief, we decided it'd be a good idea to paint my dad's coffin ourselves. So we had the funeral directors, really odd concept. We were the only people the funeral directors had ever seen do it. We basically got them to get us an unvarnished coffin so that we could paint it. We put flowers on it. My mum he had a classic car. My mum drew his classic car on it. My niece and nephew put like granddad. And I just remember being sat there and I was like, this is so weird. I was like, this is so weird. I'm sat here, like, finger paint, like, putting my handprint on my dad's coffin, like, finger painting it. I was like, what?
I'm sorry, that is so iconic that you painted his coffin. I love that. I am so putting that in my will.
But I guess with my journey of caring, it went from being able to do a lot to kind of not being able to do enough, because he was now getting taken care of in hospital rather than at home. And of course, he did have many of hospital stays. Like that was a given. He was always in hospital. But as he got less dependent on me and more dependent on like the healthcare services, I found that like my anxiety was rising so much because I'd be at school and I'd be worrying about, oh, I hope he's okay. Like, oh, what's going to happen, or I'm worried about his health, or I have an exam, and I couldn't really like talk about it much. And I tried to share like this anxiety with my form tutor, and he just said, oh, you just need to be more positive. And I was like, oh, I don't think so. But no. I don't know, I just felt quite isolated because I always just felt so like I had something on my mind and I could never focus. I was aware of the fact that he wasn't going to live that long for a while, and I was always expecting it. So I was living with some sort of anxiety, and I think people just expected me to be like, well, he's ill and you know what the outcome is going to be, so just be okay with it. But it doesn't make it easier.
Suddenly one day you can be like, oh my god, it's Christmas, put Wham on, let's go. And then the next day you're suddenly like, actually, let's pretend none of this is happening. And like, it's that flick of the switch that I find can be, I feel there's a lot of pressure on you to pretend you're fine all the time.
And that is true, because I don't think you want to let anyone down, because like sometimes when you feel like you just got to just try so hard to be like, yeah, everything's great, I'm enjoying the Christmas market, I'm enjoying the Christmas music, but in reality, and you're still grieving and you're still going through that, and you can think about like, and the last Christmas and the last Christmas after that, and how like I wrote your love and not there anymore, and it can feel a bit too much.
Like at my school, behaviour points was a massive thing, and it's almost like being penalised for your own emotions that you can't often help. I'm sure that there are so many teachers across schools that have had a bereavement in their childhood, but I was speaking to my dad a couple of weeks ago, and he lost his dad when he was 10. His mindset of it is, well, I just got on with it. There was no support in place, so that's just how he dealt with it. So to him, it's like things happen, you get on with it, because he's not known any different. And it's awful to think that adults nowadays were treated like that, or just, not treated in any way at all. So if they're now in the position of a teacher for someone else who comes to them with a situation of grief, they're not necessarily going to know how to respond, because they have had that personal experience of a loss, but not the ways that it can be dealt with empathy.
In the month of June, I've got my birthday, Pride Month, and then the anniversary of my dad's death, which all piled up together equals to a lot of complex emotions. On one hand, it's Pride Month, so I'm celebrating like my queer identity and like that I'm comfortable within myself. But then on the other hand, being sad about my dad on the anniversary, and also the fact that he wasn't here when I discovered my identity and when I kind of came to those revelations. Like, my friend always asks me about if I'm going to legally change my name, but my dad gave me my name, and so that's something that I'm attached to, which is why I'm not legally changing it yet. So they're very bittersweet when it comes to like celebrating who I am.
I don't find that I've ever healed from my grief. I think that what has happened is I've learnt to coexist with it. It's kind of just like that. It's a friend that you've never really asked for.
For anybody that is bereaved and doesn't know where to start with trying to reach out to their teachers to have these conversations about what they might need or not need, I would say keep trying. I think it probably is really discouraging when you're not getting the support that you want, but there hopefully will be someone in your school or college or setting who would get it. And so keep trying and don't be afraid to reach out. That's a really hard step to take, but I would just sort of say keep trying, because it might pay off. Because I can't imagine not having the relationship that I had with my teachers, but I think trying to make any connection that you can, even just trying to identify one person who's a bit more approachable or something like that. And if it is through like an email or something online, like a lot of times that helps, because you don't have to sort of go and have a really awkward conversation.
The grief timeline thing is ridiculous. There is no timeline. You're going to feel what you feel when you feel it. And don't feel guilty about what you're feeling, because it's all okay. And don't think, oh, I should be feeling this, or I shouldn't be sad, or I shouldn't be angry. And obviously there are like healthy ways to express those emotions, but like don't blame yourself for how you're feeling, like, and especially if you're kind of just missing that old you.
I think this has been the most valuable conversation I've had in the 13 years of losing my dad. I think if I'd met someone like you with similar issues and a mindset at an earlier age, it would have been brilliant. And I hope this can bring help to other people as well. So yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, the exact same applies to you. I mean, it's weird to say, but I will be leaving with a smile on my face. It's genuinely...
Yeah, so will I. Yeah.
It's so fulfilling to hear somebody feels the way you do. And I hope for anyone who listens to this, that even if it's just one line, if it's just something that we've said, it like rings true, and they go, oh my God, yeah, I get that. That's kind of my hope in some ways.
Thanks for listening to Grief in Common. For support, resources, or to donate and help us keep creating, visit winstonswish.org.